It bypasses the intellect and goes straight to the.
Feed the gospel to him and make him come to know God and make him encounter anything. She looked for opportunity. She heard what the Lord was doing, and she responded to that. That was it. This whole message is not so that you will go out, find somebody, and try to make them love Jesus. It's impossible. But what I am telling you is who's in front of you that God might be highlighting for you to sow seed into. The young boy that he talks about goes on to be a pastor. He had a younger brother, George, who went on to preach at age 10, and all these things in that revival kept going for a good while. But right here and now, I think about how we have opportunity week in and week out, even during services. What's a moment that we can look, and if God drops somebody in front of you, you think, I'm just going to tell them something. Prophecy isn't hard. We make it real hard. I make it hard. I feel like sometimes we make it have to be this super spiritual thing. But there is something there's just such an opportunity that we have to sow into each other's lives on a more consistent basis than I believe that we take advantage of. With these two babies that came into my world, I realized how much time am I sowing into my family? How much time, what am I doing with my time? Time is, look at this, these beautiful kids, and how do we mark these kids so that they know God? I think about our lab age, our tree house, our little sprouts, our nests, or even the blossoms that are hanging in that nursery. I think about our Rock Youth. I think about Relentless. I think about, I'm not telling everybody to join kids ministry tonight. But what I'm saying is that there's something on the inside of you that the world needs. And there's something on the inside of you that I need at 30 years old in my season of life. There's something that you have that the person next to you needs, that you're walking out. And that takes, it's just on purpose. It takes intentionality. It takes, I'm aware. As I was processing through this, I was thinking about the story of the prodigal son. Again, the prodigal son story is not that the father ran after him, but the father was waiting. The scripture, it says in the Amplified, it's talking about the prodigal son. So the prodigal son got up and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him. So my question for us is, are we looking? I'm not asking you to run after the prodigal son, but are you looking for him? The weary, the broken, the hurting. How many has been picked on in school? How many? I can go through the laundry list of things that our young people are dealing with. Some are dealing with it much younger than we ever had to deal with it. We live in such a pornified culture that it's so accessible for them to see images that can get stuck, and that's marking them for the rest of their lives until the experiential encounter with the Lord can come in to play. And that's our job. It's not to come in and clock out. Our job isn't to save the world. Our job is to talk to that person in front of us. Who's he highlighting? That sweet old woman didn't have to go very far. It was right outside her door. Who's heading home right now and needing to be met with love, needing to be met with that excitement, needing to be met with that restoration like the prodigal son's father gave him. I wanted to hit this word real quick. It's called value. And I think we know it. It's used in monetary elements. Value is something that we place on silly things. And sometimes we place it on incredibly valuable things, incredibly unique things. But value, it just means to consider someone or something to be important or beneficial, to have a high opinion of. And it saddens me because, again, I could preach the same message in just a little different way to the young people of our group. church if we want to make it home, but in general, and I know that they don't value you the way that they should. I didn't value even being raised in such a culture of respect. I may have respect, but I know that I valued and held dear, of high regard, the opportunity it was to have conversations with people who marked my life. I'm way more aware of it now than I've ever been. So part of this, I think, is us healing from rejection that has happened from a generation who has said, you're not cool, you're not relevant to me, you don't understand. And part of it is the lie that they're believing that causes that reaction. So it's twofold. And I'll say a line from my Mama Jane, the only person you can control is you. I don't know how many times I've heard that my entire life, and now it's like a catchphrase of my world, but the only person that you can control in this room is you. That's why I'm not asking you to save the world. I'm asking you, who's in front of you? Who's in front of you? Who do you have influence on? Again, there's been so many relationships. It's been the older generation that's poured into my life. It's been peers. I can't tell you how great it is to run with other people running the same direction as you and having that camaraderie. There is nothing that gets you more on your toes, though, than to have someone younger than you looking at you. Think about that. And you know that if you're a parent. Or maybe you know that when you're a parent and your kids are grown. I hear that a lot from my friends. I have lots of friends of all different ages, and I'm thankful for that because there is that we're all in this together in just different areas. We're all in the same thing. We're all the same generation. I don't like that us and them, our generation, and then your generation, and then their generation. It's just we're all alive. We're all right here. And the beautiful part about it is that, again, the only person you can control is you. So here's what I'm wanting us to do and to consider is just to do your part, all right? Just do your part. I think I went for a really long time taking on way more than I should because I had a lot of kids that came through my world in my 20s, and it was like, okay, they're heavenly, getting there is up to me. I got to keep them out of trouble. I got to get them to church all the time. I got to stay constant. I got to be on their toes. And when they start to do really bad things, I'm going to tell them, don't do that. And I'll try to entertain them to keep them from opening doors that I knew. It's not just because they would sin, because I have sin that the Lord corrects me on too. It's the repercussions that happen when they step into those places that you know is so bad. And so here I went through a cycle where I just was spinning plates and trying to keep everybody alive and not high and not drunk and don't have sex. And okay, so come to Kim's house. Okay, I'll move you into my house maybe if you're a female. It was just that thing where it was like trying to quarantine their life to make them feel the presence of God. I put them in any meeting that I could find in the near 2-hour radius. Great intentions. Never what God asked me to do. I would have never wanted to be their Jesus, but I was putting myself in a position where they were relying way more on me than anything else. Kim's my backup. So again, as parents, I think I can kind of understand you a little bit because there's so much ownership that you take when your kids screw up. If I done more, if you done, yeah, maybe you could have, maybe there would have been. But what the enemy does is he highlights that to shut you down from praying. My big point tonight is this next scripture, Deuteronomy. I used to call it Deuteronomy when I was little, but I don't anymore. All right, you guys are quiet, and I know I'm kind of heavy, so let's just all smile at me, say, hey, all right. Deuteronomy chapter 6. I really love this because it's Old Testament. I love when Old Testament blows my mind a little bit. Like, that's in Deuteronomy? Sweet. That's not in Psalm? Yeah, okay. as the worship pastor, we lean towards the songs and the psalms and spiritual songs. We like those. But what I love is how rich the Word of God is, and how when we dig into that Old Testament, there's still these wonderful nuggets. And it says, listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord, your God, with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. I've read that lots of times over the years, if you've been in the church very long. But this next part I really loved. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving to you today. And this is the kicker. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home, and when you are on the road, when you are going to bed, and when you are getting up. That's like a parenting 101 thing, but let's take it beyond our kids, okay? I mean, for those of you who are raising your kids in church, yes and amen, and I hope that we can be a support system to you. Because again, sometimes that is so influential in a kid's life, hearing it from someone that's not their mom. My mom thinks I'm a great singer. Well, okay, Mom, that doesn't mean anything. It's that place where, I don't know how many times, sing a solo. And I was like, no, and I'd fight it because it's like, you're my mom, no. But that's what I'm... To get it before our eyes, remembering who we are. Remembering that they can hurt my feelings. I've had kids break my heart. I really have. Cried over like loving them so bad and wanting them to be so healthy, and they're not. I get that. So forgiveness and walking that restoration out. But there's also that place where we know it in such a way we're able to teach it. And we repeat it over and over and over. Go back to that part for me, TJ, where it talked about the repeating. I love how it says repeat to them again and again. So how many of us as children of God, me individually, have to do this for myself? That's like everybody in the room, hopefully. But also, it's that opportunity that we have to sow that into the next. How do you get out of debt? There's practical things, but there's a God that has to intervene. How many of you have had the miracle working power of God work in finances, or you're standing for that right now? Health. How do you get through when sickness attacks your house and it doesn't go away? You repeat. And the thing I love about the older generation is that they've had years where they've repeated and they repeated and they've repeated. And young people don't have the stamina. They either weren't taught it, they're not choosing it, but it works. You have something to offer. You have something to tell them. You have something inside of you. It's amazing how you can teach your kid to behave, to be good girls, to be little gentlemen. And it's another thing when you have somebody else who has no stake in the game pouring into your kid, teaching them how to be young men, teaching them how to be. And now we have an opportunity where we have kids who didn't have that for years and years and years. So what do we do with them? I still believe they're ours. I still believe they're ours to touch and to connect and to pour into. And again, I'm not asking it to save the world, but I am proposing, can you connect with somebody? What kid that comes through here and runs around all the time, can you walk up to the couch and sit down and be like, hey, I just saw you, and I just wanted to tell you X, Y, Z. I don't know what your word of wisdom would be to them. We're going to take communion tonight. And one thing that I love is that when we don't have a lot of answers, again, the Bible is so teachable. Like, I love that it's a study book. It's a manual for how to live, a manual for how to recalibrate your thinking, a manual for who you are even when you don't feel like it, a manual for when it looks really, really bad. Well, it's been really, really bad before. There's one thing that my grandparents have, and it's just a confidence in God. And they went through depression. They went through really hard stuff that I'm like, I'll never have to know that. And there's this established, like, just, that's who they are. And so tonight, as we take communion, I really want us just to focus in on a couple things. I want us to focus in on what our job is and what our job is not. And I just want us to be real simple, because I think that's where I think sometimes adults make it way more complicated than it has to be. That's what I love kids ministry, because it really is just repeat it again and again and again. Like, that's kind of how it is. And sometimes we can make it a little too difficult, or at least I make it too difficult. I don't know about y'all, but I make it too difficult. And so I'm just going to ask the Lord who in front of me, and I'm going to pray, and I want us all to agree. And I want us just to ask the Lord, put somebody in our hearts. Put somebody, who is it that we're supposed to